everybody. Welcome to our first episode of VW Garage Talk. I'm your host, Craig, and today we're going to be kicking things off by talking about my story and the VWs that I've owned, flipped, and also worked on. Don't worry, it's not going to be all about me. I'll be sharing this crazy VW journey that led to all the adventures we're about to dive into. Let's start rolling. First off, my love of cars, especially VWs, I think was genetic. My dad was in the Volkswagens before I was even born, and growing up, I felt like cars were always part of the conversation. My dad would take me to car shows and things of that when I was just young in the early 80s and late 90s, up to late 90s. We would go to like all classic car shows, and then later into the 90s, we went to Volkswagen shows. But, he started teaching me all the little things about cars as far as what year this vehicle had headlights, taillights, what to look for as far as telling year apart vehicles and stuff like that too. So this set up my knowledge of cars. So we'll fast forward a few years to the first car I ever owned. So I was 14 years old. I think about 12 years old, I really started getting into the Volkswagens. My dad explained he had a 73 Super Beetle, a green one, and a 73 Super Beetle orange and a 67 Beetle that was green. And, once he showed me pictures of them, I was like, oh, I got to have one of those. And so, we went to different shows and we'd see some, and then we'd look in the magazine and we'd see Volkswagens for sale. And we actually started looking probably when I was 13, later 13. And we started looking at a few, and by the time I was 14, we found one. And so we looked in the paper, 73 Volkswagen. We looked at it, it was local. An actual doctor had owned it. And what's cool is the vehicle was actually bought up the street from me at Suncoast VW. It was a Volkswagen shop here, right on 19. And so that was pretty cool. He told me it was from there. So, I had it, got it when I was 14. I learned how to drive it when I was 15. When I was 16, I started driving to school. So that was fun. It was my daily driver. It was great. People looking, commenting, shaking, giving peace signs. And I think it made everyone happy seeing the car. And so that was really cool, nostalgic. And, over the years, the Beetle stayed with me. It wasn't the only Volkswagen to roll through with my life. I've had more than a few. Some I've worked on, some I've drove into the ground, and there's one or two I probably should have held on to. But, hey, you live and you learn. Now, if you followed online, you know me as BrewDub, and that name is a story of its own. It started back in 2015, thanks to my now wife, Angie. And speaking of Angie, she's here today because, honestly, she's the brains behind of all of what you see from BrewDub. Say hi, dear.
Hi, thanks for the intro. And don't forget to tell him that I'm also the one that makes you look good in front of the camera, but you're the pretty face.
Oh, thanks. All right.
I'm Angie, and yeah, I'm usually behind the scenes making Craig's stories look good and figuring out how to get the grease stains off of his clothes.
True story. And fun fact, BrewDub started all because of our weekend cruises. Back when we started dating about 10 years ago, that's really when it really started. We were going to, microbreweries were starting to pop up, and we started, it was a little fun thing to go and maybe try a beer here and do like a little review on it. And, that we started going to parks, different things. But I think the beer thing was actually probably the fun thing. I think people started interacting more with that. And, they're like, oh, what flavor would you have this time? People ask us, hey, what beer are you going to have? Or do you try this brewery? And, kind of go from there. But we've kind of transitioned away from
shifted.
That. Yeah, we're more tea people now.
Tea and coffee.
Yeah.
So we're still brewing things.
Yeah, we're still brewing things. So BrewDub is still a thing.
But you had the beer caps on the Beetle. And, we were going to the breweries and we were doing reviews on different breweries and beers.
Yeah.
So
it was
that's
fun.
Where that came from.
And, we helped promote like a lot of the new breweries that were coming in too. We'd share a lot of the stuff, and, they would follow along, and, people didn't know about certain breweries or where they were, and oh, a new one popped up.
We found them.
Yeah, we found them, and we helped other people find them too.
Yeah.
And
I have a passion for photography and getting into videography, and it's just a lot of fun for me to share, and people like what I share, and the different events that I create. So why not share that with all of you?
Yep.
Now it's about sharing the VW lifestyle, from restoring cars, rescuing cars, going to meets and car shows, and now we're planning our biggest VW adventure yet, a cross-country road trip in our Westie.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot more of Angie on this trip. Basically she's the co-pilot. She is doing all the videos, editing, and anything you see BrewDub.
Planning the road trip.
Planning as well. Packing, making sure we're all alive, make sure we stop for gas and everything like that too. But no, you'll be seeing a lot more of her in these videos now on YouTube or anything, because she really is a major part of BrewDub.
All right, now that you know who we are, let's tackle some frequently asked questions that we get.
All right, hopefully there's a few good ones in here.
How far have you driven your Beetle, and has it ever left the state of Florida?
Well, probably the furthest I've driven it was South Miami, to Volksblast. I think that was 2009. That was definitely the furthest. I think it took me like 12 hours to get down to Miami. We met up with a bunch of people on the way and stopped, went to restaurants and stuff like that. But that was a real fun ride in there. We actually camped in a gentleman's yard, and that was pretty funny. It was good times. But I was definitely the farthest I've traveled in the Beetle, and that's when I first lowered it, and it was shooting sparks all around the roads and everything. It was a rough ride. I'll say that.
I bet. And we've also gone to Port Orange several times for
Nodo weekend. Yep.
We've driven around Central Florida, and all over Florida, really, seeking that old Florida adventure.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, dream road trip, and which VW?
A dream road trip? Well, Busted by the Bridge is, I'd say, one of my favorite shows. I love Arizona. Arizona is probably my favorite place. So I think this is kind of like a dream trip. Taking the Westie out there and just camping the whole weekend. I think that's going to be a real fun trip. Anytime we go out west is always a good time. So I'm going to say
we're making that dream come true.
Making the dream come true. It'd be cool to do the classic, VW Classic out, in California. I think that'll be fun as well. And just some of the camping trips out there. Just nice. Washington, Oregon, is nice out there. It'd be cool to do buses and balloons in New Mexico.
I want to see that.
Too bad that got, canceled, this last one. But I think that'll be fun too. But Busted by the Bridge, this trip.
We're doing it.
I'm going to say that.
All right. Is Volkswagen your favorite car? Or is it all German brands?
Volkswagen is my favorite car. I'm not privy in all German. I don't really like Porsche. No offense to anybody. I'm not really a Porsche fan.
They're beautiful cars.
They're nice cars in their own way. Mercedes, I had a couple 300Ds. Mercedes, I like those. Volkswagen, for German cars, Volkswagen definitely. Air-cooled more so. I always like the Beetles. I'd say Beetle is my number one. I always like 68 to 71. I don't know what it is. Well, let's go 73. We'll bump to 73. I always like that style. Yeah, 68 to 73. I always like the late Beetles. I don't know why. I love a stock late model Beetle. I don't know. That's my favorite.
And the stock exhaust.
I love pea shooter exhaust. That's the best sound ever. So pea shooter exhaust for the win. But as we go to more shows and stuff like that and start traveling and see the camping shows, I think the bus is more practical. We're able to go camping in there, and it's just more fun. We can load more stuff up in there, and we have the bus, and everyone kind of flocks to the bus. We can hang out in the bus. We have the awning and
more room for activities.
Yeah, so it's just a all around nice setup. So Volkswagen is my favorite. Beetle, I'd say, is my favorite. Yeah, They're not very big on other German brands. It's just the Beetle, just the Volkswagen.
The Lincoln Town Car didn't make that list.
Well, Lincoln Town Car is one of my favorite vehicles. I love 77 to 79. But I had a couple '03 and '04 Lincolns, beautiful cars. I just
Big
love
old
Lincolns.
boats.
Yep, I like big cars.
I
So
like big cars.
big
I
cars.
cannot lie.
hmm
All right. Opinion on water-cooled Volkswagens. Have you owned any?
I have owned water-cooled Volkswagens. I had a cabriolet. I had two cabriolets. I had a Golf. I had two GTIs. I do like water-cooled Volkswagens. The GTIs were fun. My favorite was my '07 GTI. It had a blow-off valve, old six-speed. All the Volkswagens and water-cooled I had were manual transmissions. But I just love, they're fun.
And you call that thing your little truck. You would haul
I
everything in
hauled everything.
that. You
in
went
my
to
se-
Lowe's with
I
you're
hauled
getting
Volkswagen parts.
two by
I had 5 totes of Volkswagen parts in there, big
oh yeah.
totes, and a steering rack. I had all kinds of stuff in my
You
GTI.
pulled the transmission
Yep.
and brought that home.
Yep. Oh yeah, transmission in there. That's just a really, really economical, practical vehicle.
The kayaks,
Kayaks,
bicycles.
bicycles. Oh man, it hauled everything.
A little car that could.
That was a great car. Now again, what was the question? So going back,
Opinion on water-cooled
Volkswagens. I do like them. I've had just a few more air-cooled. I've had a ton of air-cooled Volkswagens, but yeah,
They're easier to work on, right?
A lot easier to work on, more user-friendly. Yeah, but I like them both.
Right.
They're both good vehicles.
Safe answer.
Mm-hmm.
Have you driven or owned other classic cars besides VWs? If so, which ones?
Well, let's see. So I had a '79 F100 step side. I had a '69 F100 long bed. I had a '51 Ford two-door coupe. I didn't drive that. I didn't have an engine in it. I was gonna put a Chevy 350
a Halloween prop.
That was a Halloween prop. We actually used it for a Halloween prop, and it actually turned out awesome. I had a '69 CJ5 for classic cars, I think. I had a couple. I had a Mercedes D3. So I had an '81 Mercedes 300D and an '83, I think. And
I don't remember.
yeah,
I remember hauling them though.
Yeah, those were fun, cool cars. And I didn't really drive. I only drove that and the Jeep around the block. The F100, both F100s, I drove on the road. But yeah, the '69 CJ5, I just drove around the block. It was just I was trading different things, and it was something cool.
While we're on that topic, how many VWs have you owned over the years? And do you have a favorite?
I don't think we have enough time to explain that, but
That's true.
I don't even know how many Volkswagens I've owned. I've owned. Well, let's just
I'd
say
say more than 15 since we've been dating.
Yeah, I mean maybe somewhere around there. Somewhere around there. Running in not. But yeah, I've had quite a few Volkswagens.
Who's your favorite?
Well, my Beetle is hands down.
You're never getting rid of
ride or die. Never getting rid of that all.
Remember, we were at one brewery and an old man got his checkbook out. He was asking you, name your price for your Beetle.
Yeah, I wasn't drunk enough. No, just kidding. No, but not for sale. I'll never sell my '73 Beetle. I had a '61 Mango bus, and that was
the one that got away.
I do miss that bus. I do miss that bus. I wish I had that. I had all the metal work for it, and I just didn't do it. That went over to England, and
you tracked that for a while too.
Tracked it for I think 3 people, and then I lost track. They just do work to it, and they put a camper interior in it, and then sell it to someone else. But that was a fun little ride. I like that car. I had a 1500 Type 3 with 1500 single port in that thing, and that was a nice little vehicle. But yeah, '61. I'll go with that.
Okay, we just won't tell the Beetle. What's your opinion on modern VWs compared to the classics? Would you buy an ID Buzz or an electric VW?
Well, the ID Buzz it seems cool. We saw it at Bug Gym.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if it's too practical. I mean, it wasn't any camping interior in it. And, you think the bus, I mean, now, since we have the bus, I think of it as a camper because that's how we use it. So I don't know what the range is on electric cars. I mean, I don't have a big dislike to electric cars, but just the part of like going somewhere and have to stop to charge it, it's just, to me, it's just not practical. It's
However,
nice not having
we
to pay
love
for
our
gas.
Earth.
Yeah,
Want to be resourceful.
right.
We appreciate that part, but
Yeah, so I mean,
for our lifestyle, it's not practical.
yeah, it's just you just never know when there's going to be a charging station.
Volkswagen, prove us wrong.
Yeah, maybe if they could put some type of solar panel to charge the car,
There you go.
that'd be nice.
Now we're
Never have to
thinking.
get. But no, I like GTIs. Those. I think that's probably the most cool vehicle,
Do they
maybe.
have an electric version?
They may. I don't know. Actually, you know what? I think the new GTIs now are an automatic, and I wouldn't want an automatic.
Oh boy.
So, no offense to automatic cars, but I just like the peppiness of the car and the shifting there. It was pretty cool. But
Except for all the traffic we have now in Florida.
yeah, traffic's a big thing here now. So within the past few years, but yeah, shifting is kind of an issue. So a new Volkswagen, I just don't want the car payment. Um, so I like not having a car payment. So maybe
The amount of money you're investing in these projects,
I don't have
though.
time. Yeah, I don't have time. I don't have time to make payments on other stuff. I gotta get more
Wow.
Volkswagens. Air cooled.
Speaking of your fleet, do you live in an HOA? Is the question. And how does that impact owning or working on classic cars?
So I do not live in an HOA. We do not. But there's times where I've had some cars in the front yard, and I was working on my dad's Rabbit, and I had it out front for a couple of days, and or not HOA, but code enforcement saw it in the yard and in my grass, and they didn't like that. So where we live not in code enforcement, but
I live in city limits,
city
so
limits.
there's
So
some rules.
there are some rules, and they're maybe a little more strict now. It's not bad, but I think they're trying to keep the city clean now because it's such a
Happen in place.
yeah, very hip place.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's if I live in an HOA, I wouldn't be able to own nearly as many
Maybe
cars as
it's
my own.
time to move.
Well, yeah, I don't
I'm
want to do
just
that.
teasing. Okay. Have you ever been stranded in a VW?
So not very common, but I actually was two times I could think of. First time, I had my Beetle, I had my 1835 in it, and it would lose so much oil. I mean, it was a quart it seemed like every couple of days or something like that. It was nuts. Um, and I drove it. I was just driving down the street and engine seized. So it left me stranded. I couldn't fix that. Normally I could fix the car. I bring tools, parts, and stuff like that with me. The second time was just recently, and that was when I wasn't getting any spark and I was at work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I checked, I replaced the coil, I was checking I replaced the coil, I replaced the distributor with two distributors. I actually put two coils in there. I'm like, what is going on here? I checked to see if power was going to the coil, and power was going to the coil when I had the key on. But turns out it was the ignition switch. When I turn it over, when it would start cranking, it would lose power, which was weird. So that was the first time I couldn't fix my car, and that left me stumped. I was very frustrated and confused. But
I think you had it resolved that weekend, though.
I did. I ran a wire from the alternator to the coil, and it cranked up. So that told me that power was coming straight from the alternator to the coil and just left power there constantly. And that showed that the switch was bad. So that's how I figured it out with some help from local folks and the people in the great community of Volkswagen
Yeah,
people.
we have an awesome VW
So
community.
Volkswagen mechanic told me that information.
Would you say that's your best broken down on the road story?
Well, I don't think it's ever a great experience breaking down, but I really can only think of those 2 times that I've broken down. I really never break down in the car.
Knock on
Of course,
wood.
it's something simple I can usually fix. Yeah, probably those are the two only ones I can think of,
Yeah,
really.
we had a few close calls.
Yeah.
We were coming back from Felipe Park.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that wasn't a breakdown, but you're right.
Yeah, that was
So,
close.
we had close. So, my clutch cable snapped. And I had another clutch cable with me, but
It was dark.
it was dark,
We were
and I
hungry.
didn't.
We had to
Yeah,
let the
I
dogs
didn't want
out.
to change it. It was all greasy in there on the engine. So what I did was, at every light,
Terrible.
I'd start it in first gear and take off from there, and that's how we got home. Drove about 45 minutes that way, and next day replaced it, no problem. But yeah,
I'd say the only
that was a
other
close call.
time is when your brakes went out coming home from Nodo.
Yeah, that was. Yep, the brakes were real not very good. But
They were
yeah,
non-existent. I was scared for my life.
yeah. So what we did was everyone stopped at a light, and we were
We were in a
coming
big
up.
caravan.
Yeah, probably 8 people, 8 people, little caravan heading back home, and the light had turned red pretty rapidly, so we were slamming on the brakes, and they weren't
There
really
were no
braking.
brakes.
Yeah, so it was slowing down very slow, and so luckily there was I guess what was it, a median, like
a lined pavement.
yeah, not paved, just like line like median, just lines in the road. We just went in there and finally stopped.
Thankfully,
But
we stopped like right at the bar. Everyone
yeah,
was looking at us like, "What are they
hmm
doing?"
so we lucked out there.
Yep.
But I just took it easy the rest of the way home. Um,
And you had an issue with the brakes on the bus this last Nodo too.
Nodo, yeah. So I had blew a wheel cylinder on the passenger rear at Nodo. So what I did is I just pinched off the line, the soft line with vice grips, rode around that day, and head back home after the show, and that saved me. And I wound up replacing all the wheel cylinders, calipers, drums, all brake lines. Everything's been replaced on the Westie. Um, Engine, transmission, all the electricals good. There's been a lot of stuff replaced on that Westie. it's it's been a big project.
Yeah, but we have so much fun in it.
Yep.
Okay, do you remember your first car show?
I don't know if I remember the first car show. I know I was young, so it was probably, you know, when I could start to remember, probably, if not the late 80s, early 90s. I remember going to the college up the street from the house, and they'd have a car show there. Probably like 91, 92, 93, those years. And we would go, then it was such awesome. That's when I started learning about, my dad would teach me about the, you know, Impala 62 looks like this, 61 looks like this, 64 like a Chevelle looks like, and that's when I started, looking at 54 Chevys, 55s. I could distinguish all them. But yeah, it would just teach me all stuff, and it was just fun. We just had a good time going to the shows, and then those are just all car shows. It wasn't just specific Volkswagen. And, at that time, I didn't know about Volkswagens at that time, but you know, I went to some more, and then I got into them when I was about like 12 years old. Um, 12 years old is when my dad showed me, talking about the Volkswagens that he had, and then he showed me a couple pictures, and it just boom, it just hit me. I needed a Volkswagen. I needed one. So, and I was looking at them, and always loved seeing them. Then looking them on the road, see one driving by, and I think I was about 13, and hey, we started. Hey, Dad, look at this ad, look at this ad, and then I think kind of we both started looking at them. We were both getting interested in Volkswagen, so we were looking at anything. You'd see some at work, post on the board, and then in the papers we'd see them, and different things like that.
Auto Trader and all of those things.
Yep. We see them all in there, and then we started looking, and then when I was 14, that's when we found mine, and
Mm-hmm.
we got it, and obviously I couldn't drive it, but we got it, and it was just something we had in the garage, and we take it out every so often, and we put a stereo in it. I remember that was one of the first things. Actually, the first thing we had was we had to replace the engine. We had an engine rebuilt because the generator was bad when I got the car, and had a cracked head. So we wound up buying parts from J.C. Whitney and made it a 1641. Bought a bunch of stuff, and we had a friend build the engine for us, one engine, and then my dad actually built one of the engines at work. And yeah, he built with some of his coworkers. They built my other engine,
That's
and
pretty neat.
that was cool. And we had that in there for a little while, and then I wanted bigger. Went to 1835. We got aluminum case and light and flywheel, dual carbs, and we race the car and stuff and different things. But yeah, um,
When was the first time you went to Bug Jam? 'Cause that's VW only car show.
so I remember getting a VW Trends magazine at a 7-Eleven gas station, and right in Bass Lake area, Newport Richey, and I still have that magazine, by the way. It's
I
a
would say you
97.
have a ton of
Yeah,
magazines in there still.
and I think it was a January of '97 magazine, and from there I found Bug Jam and for the show in there, and my dad and I went to the '97 Bug Jam,
Mm-hmm.
and we checked out. I was completely awesome. From going to only car shows and going to strictly Volkswagens, that was big deal, happening. But um, '97 first year Bug Jam, it was a big day.
And you've been there every year since, except for maybe 1 year?
I've been there every year except one year, and I think it was 2007. I think that was the year I didn't go. But yeah, been there, and it is 2024, so it's been a couple years.
You've been to a few.
Been to a few of them, seen some
Uh,
changes.
okay, what's the best advice you can give someone looking to buy their first classic VW?
Well, I'd say as your first car, you don't want something too far gone as far as all rusted out. It depends on
You
what you
should
look
take
for.
your own advice.
Yeah, sometimes you get a little carried away. But I would try to see if you can get something that's somewhat structurally sound. I mean, if there's little floor pan pieces that are rotted out, I mean, you can get the pan halves, and you can even drop them in there and rivet them if you wanted to. But just to get in the game, you're gonna, you can get into small things like that. You just want to make sure you have a good engine. Make sure it runs good. You don't want to see oil all over the engine either. End play. You want to grab the pulley, and just see if you got a lot of a lot of movement. That's not good. Should have just a little bit. Um, but rust, I would say, you don't want to fall through the floors as you're driving away in your car. You purchase car heater channels are a big thing. They're, floors
Unless you know
aren't,
how to weld.
yeah, floor pans aren't so bad, but when you get into heater channels, it's like, taking the body off. Now I did a '74 Super Beetle that I had purchased,
Mm-hmm.
and pans were shot on that floor. The heater channels were good,
Yep.
but I was able to cut all the old pans out and go from underneath and put new pans in it. And I was able to do it that way without moving the body, so it was pretty good. Um, but yeah, I think as long as you can get, it'd be nice if you can find something that's all the lights are working, electrical's working, not that much rust is cool, but you want to make sure you have a good engine. You don't want something with oil all over it. You want to make sure you take a look at the oil, make sure it has oil in it. Just different things like that was probably something I could say as far as getting your first car. I mean, most people are getting in the game where they're project cars, and they don't know about them, but it's a learning experience. And the good thing is there's not much to them, and there's a great community of
Mm-hmm.
people. Websites like the Samba. In Florida we have local Volks. There's Filthy Buggers. There's a lot of there's a wealth of knowledge in Florida. There's a lot of Volkswagen people. I think we got about 5,000 members in the
Mm-hmm.
local Volks group, and so there's definitely a lot of people. It's just Florida based. that group there, and just in that many people, everyone has people can help you with parts and get you in good leads. There's mechanics that are very helpful too. People that own shops, and they're on there as well. And everyone is offering a hand. Everyone's willing to, hey, let's they were forming little things where, hey, this weekend we're going to go work on this car. Someone has some problems. Everyone goes together, works on a project, they gain knowledge, they work on it together, and it's something they all learn. And then they work on someone else's car the next time, and they just keep. The more you work on them, the more you start. You start more understanding the car and how it operates, and what can go wrong with it.
That's where it all starts, folks. And then they start bringing them home every weekend.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I mean, you got one. It's like, oh, I got a Beetle. Well, I want a bus. Oh, but there's a square back over here, and then the notch back over here, and a 412, and Type 34 is a thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, geez, there's so many cool Volkswagens out there. So it's they're just fun. They're fun, and it's fun working on something different too. And it's always fun taking the car out to another meet. Everyone. The Volkswagen community is so awesome.
And everyone does their own little flair on their VWs. Yeah. So some like them pristine, they're garage kept, they trailer them to the shows, or you have some that do wild paint jobs or custom interior, and there's no two alike, and that's what's cool about it.
And that's like you said. So people like to. They're unique, and people make their car to them, to their liking. So you'll find things with different paint jobs or different looks. People slam them low to the ground, beer caps. People like them hot. Drip rail. Yeah. So I mean, there's and it doesn't matter what you do because people like it regardless. I mean, there's people that just like pristine Volkswagens, which is fine. And some people like ratty ones. I like more the ratty ones. It's nice not having to clean it all the time, prepare for a show, but that's always fun.
You mean people wash their vehicles more than once a year?
I know. It's hard to believe.
All right. While we're on that subject, if you could have any VW ever made, no matter the cost, which one? If you had to pick one, what would it be?
Well, 15 windows buses are pretty cool. I always like the 15 window. I like them more than a 23 window. I like them more than a 21 window. I don't know, 15 window. But
it's because you don't like the sun.
I don't like the sun on me. Yeah, I don't like the sun on me. That's why all my windows are tinted in my daily driver. You know what? If I had to really truly pick something, because I'm trying to think practicality now, and being that we've camped and stuff, I would want my favorite color bus. Mango. Mango green, seagull gray. Yep. And I would want maybe a 61 SO23 subhatch. Mango. I'll do that.
Would you paint the one in the backyard?
No. So my 61 subhatch in the back of the yard is dull blue. It's going to stay that color. But you know what? That even dull blue is a pretty cool color. But I just have that. My 61,
again, it's
I missed
that one that got away.
Like I just, but it's just a cool color. I just think mango green. It's cool, like seeing some of the vintage ads, like the pamphlets, and seeing like the mango green on there. Like that bus they show like cartoonized, and it's that color. Just like that's pretty cool.
What about the sand green, palm green?
I like that. One of my other friends, Daniel doesn't like that. He doesn't like that. I do like that color combination.
It's funny.
Those are my two favorite color combinations, I'd
really?
say. Yeah, I'd say so. I like dove blue too, but
I like me a turquoise.
Turquoise is nice.
What's the one tool or piece of gear that you always keep in your car?
Well, one
you keep
tool.
A lot.
I keep a bunch of tools, and I don't think you should only keep one tool. It's probably the most important is your cell phone in case you get stuck. But no, you know what? I always keep. And I won't keep anything less. I always keep my jack. I have a jack with me. I have open end wrenches. I got socket set. Allen keys. I got all the screwdrivers, thin ones. Flat tip, Phillips screwdrivers. I have vice grips.
You have a ton of parts. It's always good to have filters in
Yeah, and I have
there.
parts because you never know what might happen. Fuel filters. I carry an extra distributor, electronic ignition. I have fuel line.
Which is the reason why a bus is practical because you can haul all
More
of that.
stuff. Yeah, more stuff. So and it's just I have extra. I have clutch cables with me, celery cables. I mean, I just have anything. Try to think of things that might break
Mhm.
down because I never want to be left stranded. I had AAA. I
Mhm.
have AAA, but I used it recently on a purchase of vehicle.
Mhm.
I called on a Monday morning. I didn't get the vehicle back to the house till Wednesday evening, and I don't want to do that. So I I try to fix anything. Usually I can fix. I don't want to brag or anything like that, but I feel confident to do a lot of the repairs myself. I'm not great, but looking at videos and I can learn different. You can learn. There's a lot of information. YouTube. There's all these forums. Things on Facebook. Groups and stuff like that. There's a lot of informative material in there. Videos
Mhm.
you can use, and we have the books like How to Keep Your Volkswagen Alive
Right
and different
here.
stuff. You get that? Yep, that's a great book. I have some Bentley ones too, but you just keep one of those handy too. It's always good to keep a book with you and
You
repair
can always
manual.
look up those on the Samba too. I
Yep,
feel like
the
every
Samba.
page
Yeah,
of
the
those
Samba
is
has.
probably in there.
Yeah, the Samba has everything. Any type of technical, anything technical, electrical wiring diagrams and stuff like that, and it's really good. A lot of wealth of knowledge on the Samba, which is great too. And that's worldwide. There's people from all over the place on the Samba. It's a pretty good resource.
Mhm. All right. Have you ever worked on a VW project that you didn't finish? Did
Yeah.
you?
So let's go back as the '77 What the Crust. So What the Crust was a '77 Westie that I had
That was
purchased.
an automatic.
That was an automatic. It had a 2 liter in it.
I don't
I don't
remember.
remember. I think it had a 2 liter in it. Yeah, so the engine was seized on that, but it was sitting for a long time. Everything was really stripped out of there. The only thing I did was I freed up the wheels. I put painted the rims. I put new tires on it. I
That
don't know
was missing
much.
a lot. There were no
Yeah,
windows. It was missing the slider door.
it was missing the slider door. Yep, you're right. And you can go back in some of the
I don't
videos
think
we
there
have.
were any floor pans in that.
It
Or they
had
were.
rotted floors. It was
Oh.
rotted floors, so some of the floors missing. It needed a lot.
Hmm.
But I was hoping to get that kind of.
But you also had two other projects in the backyard at the
Yeah, so I
same
was a
time.
little overwhelmed, and I had two other, like I said, two projects that were complete projects like this '77. Um,
You had the vert.
the vert was almost done, so I had actually the vert. I took the beam that was in my '73. It was a 6.5 inch narrow beam, drop spindles. I wound up putting that in the vert and lowered the rear 3 clicks, and
It looked pretty cool.
yeah, I had the engine. There was an engine that came with it that was thought to be good, but I started putting everything back together on it, and you know, and once I put it all in there, I was turning the engine over by hand, and it would 3/4 of the way and then just stop, and something I don't know what happened, but something internally was not right. So I wound up getting another engine from a junkyard actually, and that was turned over from a '78 convertible. It was
Hmm.
fuel injected. I had that, and it was you know like you said, I got overwhelmed,
Hmm.
and I wound up getting rid of that. Sold that, and recently we actually just saw it at Bug Jam
Hmm.
for sale,
Yep.
and actually it was a pretty good price. It wasn't much more than what
What
I
you
sold
sold it
it
for.
for,
Hmm.
and
I don't think anything really had been done. There was a
nothing.
different engine.
No, that was the engine that I
Oh, okay.
had. Yeah, so it came with the engine that I had, and I think a wiring harness that they had, but that came with it to
Mm-hmm.
install.
And
But
now it's on its way to Puerto
yeah, it's
Rico.
on its way to Puerto Rico. So interesting to see that build. It'll be cool to keep in touch and
Yeah.
kind of see what's going on there. But I'd say those are really two that I could think of that I didn't finish and we just
Hmm.
kind of got rid of. Um,
Yeah. You've finished some others. We had two red supers that you did.
yeah, so the Red Super, well, I guess we can kind of consider that as a project that I didn't finish because I mean, I got that ripped out of a yard, kind of locally. That was a 74 Super, and the engine was seized. All the wheels were frozen. I freed up all the wheels, and I just kind of vacuumed it out, pressure washed it too. And
that one didn't stay long.
no, that one didn't. I sold that within a couple days.
The stickered one, Mike's Beetle.
Yeah, Mike's Beetle. That was a little project. I got that going. I got that running fairly quick. I got it running.
Yeah.
There was some fuel pump issues. I think it had an aftermarket fuel pump and an electronic, and I think it was putting on too much psi, and it was just flooding the carb. So I took that out and put a regular one in there, just the mechanical one, and changed the oil. Adjust the carb, clean the filter.
You guys did a paint job on that, you and the guys?
Yep. So I sanded everything down on it, put a little Bondo in some areas. I would put new floor pans on that one, and we wound up painting it. I put new carpet in there, put a new dash cover on there. What else did I do? Definitely cleaned it up. That car rode so good. That's probably the nicest other than the front. It did have the shimmy, but I put new bushings in there. It didn't fix it, but
super shimmy.
Yeah, but smoothest engine, everything. It rode nice. That was probably the nicest riding Volkswagen I've had. Like I said, that was more of a flip. I didn't make much off it. I don't make much off anything.
You just want to save them all.
That's the thing is, I want to save
all the Volkswagens.
That's the 72 Squareback. That is a major project. But you know what? I want to get it to a point at least to where it won't be a parts car. That's it's got a title and everything. Yeah, that's the hope.
People are asking why.
Yeah, and it is a big project, but I'd love to save them all, but it's not always practical, and sometimes cars are better off as parts cars. We'll see. If I can save this one, that's going to be a good deed in my book, I think.
And your first Square.
Yeah, never had a Square before. I don't have an engine, so Type 3 engine.
Any leads, send them this way.
Please send them this way. We need parts. We need, anything.
All right, last question here. What's your opinion on the rise in VW values? You've been in the VW scene for a long time. You've seen the market go sky high.
Yeah, so, and I think the market fluctuates. I mean, there's times I think where it's high and it drops. It fluctuates. Right now, I think the market is on a low. Seems like, split buses. Yeah, split buses are selling, cheaper than I thought they were. But it's just, I think right now, people don't have money right now. I think it's just the economy maybe is people just a little afraid to spend money right now. But, I mean, what do I think about it? I think that it's going to go back up eventually. I think maybe tax time. I think the market kind of jumps a little bit then because people have money. They get their fresh income tax check, and looking to buy something. So that's, I think, probably a better time to sell something.
You're always looking at that time too.
Yeah. So yeah.
More trips, less vehicles.
Right. That's the key. So, but yeah, they're not making Volkswagens anymore. So I mean, because I think more and more people are getting into them, like like Barrett Jackson auctions. I think that's really what caused the spike in Volkswagens, especially the bus.
It was a split bus that was for sale, right?
Yeah, like a 23 window, 59, I think it was. I think it's over 250,000. And I think that brought people into the scene that weren't necessarily Volkswagen people, but they saw that and they were, that's cool, so cool to see.
I think the pandemic too, the whole van life movement.
Yep.
A lot of people started getting buses and converting them, and
people started living in there. People started work. That seems like when a lot of work from home jobs started.
Yep.
And people, even at my work, people were able to work from home, and even when I was working home for a little bit there too. And and I think that's when people were able to work from home. As long as you have internet and you're on the road, these people are exploring, cool parks and different things. And
we're a little late to the game. We're getting there.
Yeah, maybe one day, but like I said, that's another thing. That's another factor. I think that's, changing. But, people, you see Volkswagen buses like, you go to like Home Goods or something like that, or, there's Volkswagen bus
Oh, how
painting
many
or something.
tchotchkes do we have
Uh,
around the house?
yeah, you know, so people I think see that like, oh, I want a Volkswagen, you know, I want a
Mm-hmm.
bus, and so it seems like the buses maybe hold a little bit more of a value than maybe some of the other Volkswagens. Plus, from what I'm seeing, it seems like Volkswagen buses are more, since they're so practical, people camp in them. You start going to these shows, and
Mm-hmm.
people that had Beetles or anything else, you know, they're wanting a bus, and now they're getting buses, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you know they're part of camping now because we go to some of the camping shows, and you know, the bus is so practical. So.
It's nice to have both. It's nice for us, you know, we can cruise to the beach or the causeway in the Beetle,
Mm-hmm.
or we can go to some of the camp outs in the bus and enjoy that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's, you know, where are we going to take the square back? Where are
Yeah.
we going to take the 61?
Yeah.
But we're going to have the 71 out west for a while.
Yep.
And the plan is to potentially keep it out there. So maybe 6 months, maybe longer. And we'll fly back and forth after we make that initial trip and, you know, go experience some of the shows out there. So that'll
Yeah.
be kind of fun.
So that'll be fun. So that's going to give me time to work on the 61 bus. You know, that's a lot of metal work there. That's a big project as well. And you know, we're gonna miss the bus, you know, because we're gonna miss some of the camping shows here.
Mm-hmm.
We may still go to them, but you know, we're gonna have to take the Beetle and a tent.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I don't like tent.
That's
Not
not
big
fun in Florida.
tent camping in Florida. Personally, I don't like. I don't like the humidity, being all damp in the morning. Everything's wet
Bugs.
inside. You know, your blankets are wet from the. But you know, that's the only thing with tent camping. The bus is a little different because you know you're inside. Even when there's a pop top open, we still don't get that dampness,
Would we
which is
have
funny.
enough room to camp in the square back?
Yeah, pull the
Barely.
seats down, but no, but Florida is awesome though. Florida is awesome. I just don't like. I like going to shows and stuff like that, but I don't know. Tent
Yeah,
camping, I
not
don't
so
know.
much.
Not so much. Not so much. But everything else is cool. Looking forward to camping more. The out west trip is going to be a big deal.
Yep.
That's
So
a.
we leave in just a few days,
Mm-hmm.
and we are taking a 2,500-mile journey. So we're in Tampa area in Florida. For those of you who don't know our city, we're just north of Tampa, and we are going to take our first leg out to Houston. So we're going to take about 4 days, go the scenic route, you know, stop at some national parks. We have our America the Beautiful Pass, so we'll take advantage of that. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to be doing some camping. We'll be cooking in the bus. What else? Exploring
Yeah,
roadside
yeah.
attractions,
Checking out some cool sites. You know,
maybe
making
some VW
memories.
shops,
Yeah, maybe some Volkswagen shops. That'd be pretty cool if you do
some
that.
shows.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure that out.
You guys have to stay tuned on that
Mm-hmm.
venture. And you know,
And
hey, we might even have a live. We might go live on the trip.
oh boy.
Who knows? You stay tuned for that.
Yep. So yeah, then we'll fly home, and we're gonna make the second leg next month. So
Christmas break. Yep.
we'll go
Probably.
and drive another 4 days or so from Houston to Phoenix,
Mm-hmm.
and then come January we are BBB bound. So we'll take that short hike from Phoenix to Lake Havasu City.
Yep.
Might have some friends in tow, and we'll arrive and experience the whole show. We've only gone.
And I hope you're there. Counting on you.
So yeah, it'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Freeway flyer. I'll get there quick.
What could go wrong?
Yeah. But yeah, so we're looking forward to that trip. You know, a little nerve wracking making a trip. They never made a trip that big. But we've got a new engine, new transmission. You know, we're hoping all the best. I've been driving
just about everything in it.
Yeah, really, that bus everything's been replaced in that bus. I mean, it needs some metal work, but other than that, everything works in it. So, you know, hoping I get like I said, I have a whole list of tools, parts, you know, everything. So, you know, I think we'll be good for the most part. And, you know, what's cool is thank you guys for following and giving us information because we've made posts on there, you know, about the trip and, you know, everyone's like, oh, go to this shop here. Hey, if you need, you can stay here, you know, and meet this Volkswagen group. You're more than welcome.
Download the Van Alert
yeah,
app.
you know, everyone's giving us some good information and, you know, good tools and things that are going to help us on the journey. And we greatly appreciate all that help. You know, and hopefully we meet some of you guys. You know, hopefully you guys will be at Buses by the Bridge. You know, it's a we love that show, and actually this will be our second time there,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be in the bus.
But we love Arizona, so we love the show.
Arizona's the best. But yeah, we're looking forward to do more shows and camping in Arizona. We've been to Arizona 3 times, maybe,
if not more.
Yeah, so I mean, we want to check out more areas. You know, Jerome Jamboree was awesome. Now they have it in Flagstaff and Ponderosa Pines.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll do that next year.
Maybe we'll do that. You know, if we keep the bus out there, maybe we'll do that.
Yep. We'll hit up California.
Want to do some of the California shows. So like I said, we want to do the classic. You know, maybe check out Octo. You know, and you know, I was in 2011. I was in California. So I went to Octo, the classic, and it's like Volkswagen shows like 2 weeks there. There's like always something. There's like a cruising, you know, then there's like somewhere else, something at a Volkswagen shop.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, there's always something. It seems like down the classic weekends, like a bunch of stuff going on. Yeah, it'd be cool to do that too. So I mean, there's shows all over that. It seems like out west too.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll keep the bus there longer. Who knows what's gonna happen? You know, so this will definitely give us. While the bus is out there, it's going to definitely make us sad not having a bus here. Give us more motivation to get 61 going. Yeah, so we'll have to get the 61 going here soon. But yeah, so
follow along our journey. It's going to be fun. I'm sure there's going to be some type of snafu along the way.
Let's hope not, but yeah, there's probably going to be something. But it's going to be 2,400 miles, so I mean,
at least.
Yeah. So stay with us.
Enough time to get there too.
Yeah. So stay with us on the tour. Like I said, thank you for all your information. If you have any, you know, stories that you guys have, like any travel stories or, you know, any cool stories about how you first got your car, your Volkswagen, or anything, you want to talk about anything, just let us know. Like I said, we're going to probably have, I think we're going to have some people on the VW Garage Talk here. So some sneak peek action. So stay tuned, and maybe you might be on there. You know, we'll see. Yeah. So, like I said, thank you guys for everything, your support, and you know, your comments and everything means a lot. You know, if you have any tips, you know, what we should do out on our trip, or what we should have, or places to check out, let us know. We're probably going to be taking 10 for most of the way.
Yep.
You know, 75.
Depending on the weather, we may go up to 40, take Route 66. That would be the game plan. But
it'd be nice. But
there's some storms
weather, going up there, and yeah, we don't really want to drive in the snow so much. But you know,
we got the grabber ATs, but I don't think they're.
Yeah, so we'll try to stay away from that as much as we can. But yeah. Anyway, thank you again, guys. All right, that's it for episode 1 of VW Garage Talk. Thanks for tuning in to hear my story and Angie's side of things too. You'll hear more from her and about our upcoming trip, so stay tuned for more adventures, car stories, and maybe even some guests rolling into the garage.
In the meantime, check us out on Instagram, YouTube, or any of the social medias. Just search BrewDub for our adventures. We'll see you next time.
Peace. Thanks for tuning into our podcast. You can watch it on YouTube, or you can listen to it on Spotify. We're going to be posting it every second and fourth Monday of the month. So listen or watch. But thanks again for tuning in, guys. We'll see you guys next time.